Hi, I'm Mark Tobia. I'm a master's student in digital experience design at Hyper Island in the UK, and I'm here to talk about CoDesign, specifically what it is, how it works, and the benefits of using it. The basics of CoDesign. In order to do this, I'm first going to talk about traditional design roles in relation to user-centered design. Talking about traditional design roles and user-centered design will help build the foundation for understanding what CoDesign is, how it differs, and the roles within it. After discussing how roles are structured in CoDesign, I will then talk about the new role CoDesign presents, which is the facilitator. Following the discussion of the facilitator, I will give a personal example of using CoDesign on a group project to help contextualize it. Finally, I will finish with highlighting the benefits of CoDesign in order to drive home why it should be used whenever possible. Traditional design roles and user-centered design. Traditionally, the designer has been treated as the expert in the design process, and the user as creatively deprived. From this perspective, the designer has the power and knowledge to transform the user's life, and the user has no agency or say in this process. Designer equals expert, user equals creatively deprived. User-centered design is similar to the traditional design process in the sense that it privileges the designer as expert. However, it differs in the way that it considers the user's opinion and introduces the idea of the researcher. What happens in user-centered design is the researcher gathers the user's opinions and insights via traditional research methods, such as questionnaires, focus groups, and lab tests. This information is then disseminated back to the designer, who then uses their expertise to design a solution for the end user. In this sense, user-centered design privileges the designer as expert and the researcher as the translator between the user and designer. The designer equals expert, research equals translator, and the user is still creatively deprived. Now that we have an idea of what the traditional roles are within design and how user-centered design operates, we can begin discussing how CoDesign differs and what it is. CoDesign defined. CoDesign challenges the notions of the traditional design process and model by removing the designer as privileged expert and asserting that all people are creative and able to collaborate in the design process. In taking this stance, it enables a wide range of disciplines and stakeholders to collaborate and participate in the entire design process, from start to finish. In doing this, CoDesign radically shifts the roles in the traditional process. Basically, CoDesign moves away from the traditional notion of designer as expert and into designer as facilitator/researcher, and the user or stakeholder into the role of expert designer of their needs and experiences. In case this doesn't make sense, let me explain it again in a different way. What ends up happening is the user or stakeholder who is traditionally served through the design process is put in the position of expert because of their lived experience. The user or stakeholder thus plays a significant role throughout the entire design process, from knowledge development to idea generation to concept development. Now, the traditional role of the designer collapses into the role of the researcher to become the new role of facilitator. And as the facilitator, they are responsible for helping the now expert generate insights by providing tools that aid in expressing the expert's experiences and ideas/solutions around them. Now that we have a basic concept of what CoDesign is and how the roles are defined, let's focus a bit on the role of the facilitator to better understand how CoDesign works/happens. A new design role, the facilitator. The main role of the facilitator is to build the framework for the now experts to explore concepts and ideas. This can vary and depends on the need of the project. Generally, it's developing methods for people to engage with each other, such as through icebreakers, or contextualizing and sensitizing people to the topics and/or design objectives to be covered, such as through reviewing the brief, and usually always providing instruments/tools to communicate, be creative, share insights, and envision ideas related to the objectives presented. Basically, trained designers shift from making products and services for users to making tools for the now experts to use in order to express themselves and unleash and discover their own insights and ideas regarding the topic at hand through creative methods. Some of these tools and methods are already in existence and fall under the umbrella of design thinking tools. For example, roleplay, design games, dot voting, journey mapping, group sketching, rough prototyping. The list goes on. What's important is the facilitator using their expertise to select the right tools to get the design process to where it needs to go. At the end of the day, the facilitator's role is to get the experts to discover and release their own insights and ideas, and thus, innovation. If this doesn't make sense yet, it will with our next section of an example. Example. In a recent group project for our Understanding People module at Hyper Island, our team decided to employ CoDesign in order to gain a deeper insight into how users envision banks, as well as to invite people into the process of beginning to design the bank of the future they would like to bank at. We did this by first sensitizing the individuals we recruited for interviews by going over the client brief. This helped them understand where we are coming from and what we were trying to achieve. We then asked them to draw how they see their banks now, as if it was a person. After finished the drawing, we asked them to describe to us why they drew the bank in the way that they did, so that they could reflect and discover more insights about their relationship with their current banks, and for them to start internally identifying what they might want to change. Then, we asked them to draw the bank of the future as a person. Again, after drawing, we asked them to describe to us why they drew the bank in the way that they did, so that they could reflect and discover more and develop deeper insights. One of the biggest takeaways we got from this was individuals recognizing on their own that they first drew men and that they did not like the bias, and then later drawing women. This simple exercise gave way to a big insight about gendered politics within banks and a value proposition for our client to look into that our team would have probably overlooked had we only done standard interviews and not gone through the exercise. And this brings us to our final topic on CoDesign. Why CoDesign/benefits? As mentioned, a unique insight and value proposition was discovered in my group's CoDesign session, and this occurrence is not unique within CoDesign. Research has found that user-generated ideas are more original and beneficial than ideas developed by a designer as an expert alone. This is because CoDesign allows for end users and stakeholders to provide unique insights and thus uncover latent user needs. By identifying these latent needs, researchers/designer teams can identify unique value propositions that are more effective than what conventional market/user-centered design research produces. And by conventional, I'm referring to focus groups and interviews. And for our team, this proved to be true. In addition, research has found CoDesign to improve customers' loyalty, reduce costs for businesses and other entities, reduce development time, increase people's well-being when treated as a service, increase user education, goes to market quicker with better acceptance, improves public relations, and organizes innovation processes more effectively. So, there you have it. You now have the general understanding of what CoDesign is, how it differs, the roles and their functions, the benefits, and thus how it works. If you'd like to learn more about CoDesign, check out some of the references down below, or just jump into it and start using it today.